Hello and welcome back to VHS Era. It is now the second and last part of our horror retrospective during spooky season. It is me again, your host, Kevin Higgins, and I am here today with a very special guest. You see, last time we talked about the old monster movies, Frankenstein and Dracula. But this time, we're talking about a more modern horror figure, but not super modern. He is from a movie that's 40 years old at this point. But I am talking about Freddy Krueger. As we are looking at the very first VHS for the very first Nightmare on Elm Street, not the sequels, not the Jackie Earl Haley one, not even Freddy versus Jason. No, we are talking about the first VHS for the first Nightmare on Elm Street that came out in 1985. And I believe this is either from the UK or Australia. I'm not 100% sure, but once we get into it, you'll see why. But to help me talk about this iconic figure that that took a lot of prosthetics to bring to life, I got a horror actor himself who frequently works in costumes, makeup, and prosthetics himself. I am talking today with Gordon. How do you pronounce your last name?
Tarpley.
Gordon Tarpley. He has been in so many fan films and major mainstream films, anything that has needed a monster to be brought to life. You were in Army of the Dead, for one
Yeah.
thing. Anything else that is notable and iconic?
Let's see, iconic. I was the Bat Demon alter ego for Ozzy Osbourne in an Ozzy Osbourne video, which was pretty fun to do. And I've done a lot of random stuff. I've done stuff with Crypt TV and so a lot of weird things on Netflix and of all things Star Wars stuff where I'm in masks and creatures and so forth as well. So yeah, there's a lot of random things. Plus, what else is there? Curse of Bridge Hollow, which is like a kind of a kids movie, but it's on Netflix right now. And I played a mummy creature in that for the 1920s segment, and I worked with Mark Steger, who was also the Demogorgon in Stranger Things. And yeah, he's very fun. But yeah, lots and lots of time in prosthetics and makeups, lots of them.
Yeah, he was even uh David Bowie in the Weird Al movie a few years ago.
This is accurate, and that was no prosthetics, but I got to wear a wig because you see him very bald. So
Yes, but he is very well known for being in movies where he has to wear costumes, prosthetics, makeup, or even a wig. Now, Gordon, what got you into that line of work?
well, let's see. I built costumes. You see, I got a bunch of Star Wars kind of droids and stuff back there, and I started building those, and I would wear them for basically like conventions and things, and then also appearances. I'll get hired to do appearances as in the droid costumes. And back in 2013, I met Doug Jones, who's like, famous creature performer. He's been in tons of stuff. And he was very nice to me. And I lived in Florida at the time. And I was like, man, I would love to do that kind of stuff. And he kind of looked at me, grabbed my face, and did this whole thing. He's like, "Oh, you got good build for it. You're skinny. You got small features. Makeup artists like that." And I have like shaved head, which at the time I didn't have a shaved head, but I had my hair really short. And he's like, "All these things are really good for makeup artist. So this is in my head. And then like 2 years later, I got my first chance to be in makeup because of the droids. I got hired to be a droid, and I did like 5 days of droid work on a production. And they're like, "Hey, we got this other part. You want to be Emperor Palpatine? So like it requires makeup." And I said, "Yep." And that was my first time getting makeup. And ever since then, it just kind of once you prove that you can do it, then you're more likely to get hired. The more you do it, then the easier it is to hire you because the prosthetics are very expensive. So when you're looking out for actors to do it, if they've been in a lot of them, you know that they can sit there and they're not going to freak out or panic, and they don't have allergies, and they're not going to, freak out if you put giant contacts in their eyeballs or anything like that. So, yes, it just kind of snowballs from there. But yeah, I think Doug Jones is kind of the moment it just clicked in my head, like maybe I can do that. So, and very cool guy.
Yes, and I will also say that I have I have a query, which is, are you a big fan of horror? And if so, what got you into horror?
I am a fan of horror. I would say I'm not a giant fan. Like I like a lot of sci-fi, but I love horror. I love horror, but there's people that are horror, connoisseurs, and that's their favorite thing. I love a lot of it. When I was a kid, actually, I'm pretty old, so when I was a kid, Nightmare on Elm Street was out in the theaters and stuff. So it was a big thing for my friends and I to like watch these movies. They were very scary when you're like 8 years old or 9 years old. They're quite scary. And then movies like, let's see, The Thing. I love the crossover sci-fi to horror, like Aliens, and Alien and Aliens are some of my favorite films ever. So, like that crosses my two favorite genres.
Yes, but going back to Freddy, how big a fan of Freddy would you say you are?
um, Decent enough. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I've watched all those movies like a decent amount of times. Especially, I haven't watched them in quite a few years, but I watched them a lot when I was a kid. So yeah, pretty big.
Yeah, well, I'll admit, I've only ever seen one Nightmare movie,
Oh, which one?
New Nightmare, because I am a sucker for movies about making movies.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
really, my, uh, it's kind of a springboard for another franchise that Wes Craven directed, that is actually a favorite of mine, the Scream franchise,
Oh yeah.
which was covered last year on VHS era. And unfortunately, while I love the movies, I was not a fan of the first Scream's VHS opening. But hopefully, CBS Fox Video, unlike Miramax, which was under he who shall not be named thumb, even though I said his name last episode. Um, hopefully they they chose a better list of trailers to use. Let's find out.
All right.
And now, more previews from the CBS FOX Video collection.
So those were two epic intros back to back. Like they really did a good job, with the music and the graphics of getting the audience interested, getting them excited to see what kind of previews they have coming up. Um, in fact, I mentioned this before, but I don't cover a lot of 80s VHSs because there's usually not much to 80s VHSs. It's really the mid 90s where they started packing previews and whatnot into the VHSs. But here it is. That does kind of capture my eye. Makes me wonder, okay, so what are you gonna show us?
Fully agree. Yeah, the exciting music ramping up for the previews.
Yeah, and again, it's a shame, like we talked about before a few episodes ago, where the more previews they put in, the lazier these intros seem to get.
He's just another guy, an average student. But at night, he knows how to make the grade.
All right, ladies, now here's the spiel about a rocket man called Ricky Goodwill. Ricky Rocket!
Ricky,
Yes, ma'am.
you have a natural gift and you are constantly abusing it.
3, 2, 1, blast off!
I'm 21 years old. I'm doing just what I'm supposed to be doing.
He's a student. He's a lover. He's a boy playing a man's game. A night in heaven.
You are watching me.
Hey,
Something nice.
you look great today.
This is my husband.
You like what you
This is Ricky.
now you're
Dancing on the strip circuit.
Yeah, I'm dancing my way through school.
And you're very good at it.
I'll bet.
Let's live it tonight. Tomorrow holds no danger.
I hope you come back later.
Cramming for exams?
I'll make you feel like you never felt before. I can hear your heartbeat. It's racing so fast.
I had a dream about you last night.
Hear your heartbeat.
It was really hot.
It's racing so fast. I got the magic.
He was every woman's fantasy. And became one woman's obsession.
You are an obsession. You're my obsession. Do you want me to be? To make you sleep with me? You are an obsession.
Christopher Atkins, Leslie Ann Warren. When the feeling hit them, there was no place hotter than heaven.
You're my obsession. Do you want
A night in heaven.
to make you sleep with me? Obsession. You're my obsession.
Or kind of take that back when I said I'm wondering what previews they have, because that movie looks really bland. Like, and I'm like, yeah, would any fan of Freddy care about a movie where a
The
guy,
male stripper takes
What?
over. It's like the male stripper takes over the wannabe Susan Sarandon from her husband.
yeah, like, well,
Or-
that's
or a masterpiece.
yeah, that's Leslie Ann Warren.
Yeah.
Iconic actress. She was in Clue.
Mhm.
That's probably what most millennials and Gen Z will remember her from. But yeah, that is just like, it's not like it's a terrible trailer. It's just kind of a nothing trailer. There's nothing.
It's unrelated to the genre for sure.
It's unrelated to the genre, and it's just like it's just very like whatever. I don't know. I feel like it's, if there is anything interesting about the movie, the trailer doesn't really cover it at
No.
all. Just makes it look like a very generic romantic something. Drama, comedy.
Drama-ish. It's like definitely not a comedy. Doesn't look scary at all. There's no stakes shown in the trailer. They don't show like the husband looks skeptical about the wife's involvement with this stripper guy, but that's about it. It's not like, hey, the husband's after the guy with the gun, or the guy could potentially, end up in a body bag because he's like screwing off all these married women. It's just generic as all get out.
Yeah, it's like, what? Yeah, what are the stakes? Right, you're completely right. Are the stakes that well, I assume he's a college student because he's working as a stripper, so I don't think he's like underage.
Yep, I'm 21. Do what I want, mom.
Yeah, it's like I don't think it's like so it's like yeah, there's a big age gap, but so what? They're both adults.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if the movie goes into the complexities of that. Like, even if they're both adults, there could be other issues with a big age gap relationship. But the trailer certainly doesn't say. Um, what did caught my eye is that it's from John G. Avildsen, the director of Rocky and the Karate Kid.
Oh yeah.
Um, But look, if that movie's some underrated masterpiece and is as good as those movies,
You never know.
yeah,
It could be a sleeper. You might go watch it and be like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing movie I never heard about.
yeah, but yeah, actually, on this show, there's been many trailers. I even covered like a trailer for the Godfather trilogy that
Uh,
was completely underwhelming. Again, those are fantastic movies.
um,
First one's my favorite. Well, okay, the first two are fantastic movies. I still have not seen the third. But still it's like that's not a great trailer to start off with.
yeah, imagine going to watch Freddy and then this is the first thing that pops up. Like, all right. I would definitely, if I had that VHS rented, I would definitely fast forward through that one, especially if I knew that was coming up. It's not one of the trailer you want to rewatch necessarily.
Beneath the city of New York are living catacombs, an endless maze of subterranean tunnels, unfit for anything human, unauthorized for anything experimental,
Hold it! There's something moving up ahead in the tunnel!
and unlikely to bring anyone down there. So, they're coming up. C.H.U.D. C.H.U.D. Check your basement and your bathroom. Keep off the street and try to hide. But remember, the dark is their place. The night is their time. And tomorrow, the only things living in the city of New York will be C.H.U.D. C.H.U.D. Cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers. C.H.U.D. They're not staying down there anymore.
Yeah, that's a quality one.
I've never seen any of the C.H.U.D movies myself.
I've only seen that first one when I was like 10, probably. It's been a long time, but yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, I don't know the movie itself. I know the movie has a cult following. I know it's had a few sequels. I even know like C.H.U.D has been used as an internet slang for like internet trolls, I believe. So I know like this is a movie that, unlike A Night in Heaven, has had a cultural impact. But if you were just going by not the movie itself, but the trailer, um, I don't know, really think the trailer. I mean, it's horror. Uh,
I feel like by today's standards doesn't hold up as well. But I think of my kid brain seeing that at the time when I was be watching, Nightmare on Elm Street, and I would have been like, okay, we're seeing that movie. Looks like a little creepy stuff, and looks dark and scary. I'm like, I would dig that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just thinking about it through an adult eyes, and through
Yeah,
adult
oh,
eyes,
100%.
and through adult eyes, it's like, what are they doing here? You don't really see much actual horror, just
Yeah.
reactions to them screaming, and you see that, are they trying to hide the monsters, make their appearance like a make their appearance something special for the movie? But if that's the case, why do you see them twice?
Yeah.
I Maybe I just don't have an inner child, but I'm just looking at that trailer and I'm thinking, like, this doesn't really look all that appealing personally.
I think you're right. I feel like the nostalgia part of my brain loves it. The adult part, like if this was in the theater now, because I think about there are a lot of horror trailers that come out in the theaters now that I'm just like, oh my God, I roll my eyes, it's like this is, and if I looked at this the same way, I agree. I think it's very hard for me to separate the child part of my brain that would be totally into this thing.
Yeah, well, okay. There's one trailer you liked, one trailer you didn't. I haven't liked either. Let's see what the next trailer is. Maybe it'll be something either we can agree on that's good, or at least something we can agree on that sucks.
Keep watching after this feature for more previews from the CBS FOX Video collection.
There were only 2 previews before the feature presentation. Instead, CBS Fox did something peculiar, which is that they had more trailers after the film. I don't know why that is. You'd think they'd have them more before the movie because, like, would anyone want to really stay through the credits just to watch more trailers? But maybe this was their way of forcing them to stay through more so they could watch the trailers.
It's the post-credit scenes. Like Marvel took their cue from the old Nightmare on Elm Street films.
Or at least this Nightmare on Elm Street film. But let us see whether or not the 4 trailers at the end are better than what's come before, or if it's at least something we can agree sucks.
He was a pickpocket who thought that anything was better than prison. Little did he know what he'd escaped from wasn't half as strange or frightening as what he'd stumbled into.
I do not believe what I believe, Lord. These are magical, unexplainable matters, and I beg you not to make me a part of them.
The knight who had saved him wanted only 2 things: to free his lover and to take his revenge.
I have waited almost 2 years for a sign from God.
Sir, the truth is I talk to God all the time. And no offense, but he never mentioned you.
The pickpocket was the key to his plan. But would you send a thief to guard your treasure? He was the last one in the world to act like a hero. It just happened by itself. And he was drawn into a magical, romantic adventure. Matthew Broderick, Michelle Pfeiffer, Rutger Hauer, Ladyhawke.
Here's another movie that, like C.H.U.D, I know has like a cult following. Again, like C.H.U.D, I've never seen it. But what's interesting is, from what I hear, in the actual movie, Rutger Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer are the leads, and Matthew Broderick is like more of the tritagonist.
Yeah,
He's
he's like a side character. I watched that movie many times as a kid. I loved that movie when I was a kid. So I've never seen the trailer for it. So I feel like you're completely what you just said is accurate. They in the trailer they kind of make Matthew Broderick feel like he's the main guy.
yeah.
The feel of the trailer is pretty good. There's some magical kind of stuff that happens in the movie that if they did show the trailer, I didn't kind of catch it, but it's like the Michelle Pfeiffer's character literally could like turn into a hawk, and it's pretty awesome. I as a kid I loved it. I have not even thought about that movie in like 3 decades probably. So it's kind of cool to see the trailer. But I very much enjoyed it. Love medieval stuff. So for me, I would be sold on it just for the castles and swords and whatnot. But
Yeah, I don't know, like the fantasy stuff looks cool, but again, it is sort of like knowing that they're completely mismarketing
yeah,
the
it's a bait and
movie.
switch, 100%. Like, and I don't
Yeah.
remember ever seeing that trailer. So when I seen that now, I'm like, oh yeah, that's like a little misrepresentative of what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's like, and maybe I'm also biased because outside of a few roles, I'm not the biggest fan of Matthew Broderick.
Yeah,
Oh,
and his lack of accent in that is as an adult watching it, him speaking with his American sounding accent is very grabbing. Whereas when I was a kid, I didn't think about that, but as an adult, I'm like, oh my god, it's just his
yeah.
voice sounds like a sore thumb, you know?
Yeah, though I guess I'll give him credit that unlike most movies, he's not just talking like this every line, just no matter what the situation is. Like he's putting in more effort here than he's put in most movies.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I think that just sort of really distracted me going, huh, that's odd. I haven't seen this movie, but I know he's not the main character and they're promoting it completely around an actor I'm not a big fan of. That kind of is what I can't help but focus on outside of everything else. My only other thing is, and I've heard this is actually a common criticism with the movie itself, not just the trailer, is that the synth score doesn't really fit what's going on
100% agree.
screen.
Totally agree with that. And again, another one that as an adult, it really stood out to me. Whereas at the time when I was a kid, that movie was, those came out in theaters when I was a kid. And I don't think I saw it in the theaters, but I definitely we got it on VHS many times. And so many movies at that time had like synth tracks, for just about any genre movie would have some kind of synth track to it. So it fit in at the time, but seeing it now is very jarring.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of movies where it works, but doesn't really work here. Another movie that is great where it didn't really work for me though, is probably Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is a comedy. Like everything about that movie ages well except the synth score.
I mean, that's another one I've not seen in a very long time. That movie is good.
Farrah Fawcett is no angel in her new movie, The Burning Bed. Francine Hughes, a mother of 3, is a prisoner in her own home. Her husband is a drunkard, and Francine is the victim of his violent outbursts. No matter where she tries to run, he will track her down. Unable to take any more and pushed to the limit, Francine realizes that for her sake and for her children's, she must take the law into her own hands. Is it murder or self-defense?
We find the defendant not guilty.
Very well, ladies and gentlemen. I complete your services in this matter.
The Burning Bed, a tough drama based on a true story.
Mrs. Hughes will be sent free immediately.
Speaking of movie trailers with unfitting scores, yeah, a drama about domestic violence and an abusive husband, and you have a light-hearted, jaunty score that sounds like it should be in the trailer for like Baby Boom or
Yes,
Mr.
yeah,
Mom or
like
something like that.
100%. I fully agree. And the movie quality looked like something you'd see on Mystery Science Theater, you know, from it's just like that washed out. I mean, really washed out, not just because it's old VHS, but just it looks like it's shot on garbage film or something. That, yeah, is bad.
Yeah, it looks like, well, it looks like a TV movie.
Yes, yeah, 100%. Just what you're gonna see. Especially the score, like you're talking about, at the very end of it, right as it checked out, was I thought that exactly. Oh my God, most unfitting music.
Hogs and hogettes, are you ready?
It's Hog Day at Lavator College.
Do you have a thing?
Yes, I have a thing.
No, not that thing. The other thing.
Rubbers.
Oh, sorry about that.
Why don't you tie it in a knot, Billy?
And Billy Batson has a problem. Not that one, this one.
If you're dead, that makes two of us, pal. Oh!
Billy Batson is a ghost, look.
Sandy, is that you?
When Billy Batson comes back to school as a ghost, he sees things he's never seen before. Being dead does have its advantages.
You get off here.
You just have to look at them to see if these people mind it. Then again, what do you expect?
And it certainly doesn't keep this party animal from the biggest monster hog out of all time.
How old are you anyway?
Old enough, stud.
I don't want to see you near my daughter again. That innocent little flower is my treasure.
I have a wife anyway.
Would you sit down, please? Don't, no. Would you close the doors? Wait a minute, what?
Civilization, as we have known it, came to an end tonight.
No, oh, Billy, I think the cops are after us.
School spirit. This is one ghost that should be busted. School spirit.
Two things. Number one, most poorly edited censor bars I've ever seen in a major production. Number two,
Derp-de-derp. Derp-de-derpity-derpy-derp. Until one day, derp-a-derp-a-derp-a-derp. Derp-de-derp. Da-teedly-ta.
but yeah, it really does look like one of those looks like one of those parody trailers you see in a movie about making movies.
And it's that thing from back then when they use 32-year-old actors to play high school students, and you're like, all right, these are a bunch of adults. They're supposed to be, ripping up the high school at the high school prom or whatever, and you just feel so off. At the time, again, every movie was they would hire adult actors because they don't have restrictions on filming with them, so they can, but they would get people that are way too old, and you're like, this is some guy. This guy's probably got a job somewhere, been out of school probably through college, and now he's doing this, being a ghost.
Oh God, yeah, they still do that today. Wednesday, most of the actors looked like high school students, but then there were a couple I was like, wait, are you supposed to be a teacher? And then oh wait, no, they're supposed to be one of the students.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like they saw Teen Wolf and were like, okay, what if we did something similar to that, but instead of him turning into a werewolf, he becomes a ghost.
He's got a ghost, but he's got a magical thing that he does, and he can vanish and then go cause havoc with everybody, and it'll be hilarious.
Yeah, it's again, like the last movie, perfect MST3K material.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I would love to see those guys riff on that.
Hey, I know you. You're from Saturday Night Live. You're Joe Pick.
I'm Danny Berman. This chump was gonna show you some previews for a new gangster movie called Johnny Dangerously. Check this out. Does this jerk look like a real gangster to you? He looks like Michael Keaton to me.
I love Johnny t-shirts. I love Johnny.
Believe it or not, everybody loves this guy. Broads love him.
I'm not wearing a bra, Johnny.
That makes two of us. Oh, you got what you had left, Ma.
His mother loves him.
I love him, but someday I'm gonna knock him on his...
We should spend some time together.
The DA loves him.
See, 2 weeks in Puerto Rico.
You got fire. Verb.
The new torch singer loves him.
You got those. I like those animals.
Little babies love him.
Oh, wait.
The warden loves him.
Johnny, it's an honor to have you on death row.
Ah, don't be silly. Pleasure's all mine.
Even the Pope loves him.
Build yourself a new gym at the Vatican, huh?
Well, this is one guy who ain't got no love for this phony. You shouldn't hang me on a hook. My father hung me on a hook once. Well, Johnny's busted my chops for the last time.
Gee, he looked like a terrific guy to me.
Oops.
Michael Keaton,
Joe Piscopo,
Danny DeVito,
Dom
Mary
DeLuise,
Lou Henry,
Peter Boyle,
Green Stapleton,
Griffin Dunn,
Dennis O'Connor,
Richard
Alan
Dimitri,
Hale
Ray
Jr.
Walston.
C. Johnny Dangerously.
So, I gotta admit, finally, we have a trailer that was actually kind of fun. The whole, oh, look at this asshole, I can't believe everyone loves him framing device was a lot of fun to watch. The fourth wall breaks, like, this doesn't look like a gangster, this looks like Michael Keaton. Oh, you look like Joe Piscopo. Those were cute. Yeah, that's definitely a movie that I wish I could watch. I mean, the short adult and the stroller gag is whatever, it's kind of corny, but otherwise, yeah, that looked like a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it's not on streaming anywhere.
Of course.
Yeah.
They hide all the good stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, what happened. I don't know why. Yeah, but Gordon, what did you think of that trailer?
I thought it was really fun, and yeah, the whole thing with Danny DeVito and Michael Keaton in the same scenes again was really cool. After just seeing Beetlejuice, where they're in the same movie, I don't think they're on screen at the same time in Beetlejuice, are they? And the new one, yeah,
no.
but they're in the same film, which is kind of interesting to see a film that just came out like a month ago, and then this film from way back then in the early '80s, where they're hanging out together. It's pretty wild. These guys have a long career.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think Beetlejuice is like the fourth time they've been in the same movie. I think this was like the very first time.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a shame then, the only, to my knowledge, movie with Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito together, movie where that's not directed by Tim Burton, because they were also in Tim Burton's Dumbo. And you can't even watch it legally unless you have a DVD player. But yeah, that looked like a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I do not have a DVD player, so who knows, maybe I'll get one just to watch this movie.
I think I've got an old one kicking around. I have huge boxes of DVDs, and I don't know if I still have a DVD player. I just, probably right before I came in here, I was in my garage, and I have a giant box. It weighs like 50 pounds, and it's just full of DVDs. And I was like, I should either rip these down or get a player or something. I don't even know what it's still in here, but the box just says DVDs on the outside, and there's just heaps of them that I haven't watched in years. But yeah, having a DVD player wouldn't be bad to have on hand just in case.
Yeah, but it is now time for stay through the previews or skip to the feature. Well, there's only 2 previews before the feature because, again, they put most of them after the feature. Again, weird idea. Neither of those were good. in my opinion. And most of the trailers afterwards, except for Johnny Dangerously, weren't good. So unfortunately, this joins the rank of horror movies or horror adjacent movies that have terrible VHS openings. Sorry, Wes. Whoever is in charge of what trailer to put where on your VHSs, if both Nightmare and Scream are anything to go by, they are not doing your job correct. They are not doing their job correctly. Sorry, Wes.
Yeah, especially if you own the DVD and that thing's in front of it every single time you want to watch a movie. That's very annoying. And even if all the ones at the end were also the beginning, I would want to skip them every time. It was worth seeing them once. I appreciate seeing them for the first time, but if I owned it, they would get skipped every time after that. I would never watch them again.
Yeah. So, Gordon, do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, just my Instagram is my name, Gordon Tarpley, just all one word, and the same with TikTok, which I don't use as much. But Instagram, anything that I'm doing in my life, I am putting up there, and lots and lots of probably close to 200 different versions of me in different creature makeups or aliens or robots or whatever, and anything I can share, I'll post up there. And then usually if I'm working on some kind of production, I'm not allowed to share things when films come out or commercials or whatever. If I'm in them and I can share them, I will put them up there. So if you're interested in keeping up with what I'm doing, Instagram's probably a good place to do that.
Okay, well, that is it for spooky season here on VHS Era. Next time, we're going back to something we covered on I Helped Make That, but the movie version.
Please rewind this cassette before returning it to your video library.